Hi everyone. Before you dive into the episode, I just wanted to interrupt really quickly. You're gonna dive into this episode and you're gonna hear me call this podcast the Holistic Hustle Podcast. And that is because it used to be the old name of this podcast. And it was an amazing ride. I'm so grateful for the Holistic Hustle Podcast and what it served. But recently I've decided to rebrand the podcast based off the evolution of my own journey, my own story, and where God is calling me to go next. And so now the rebrand, which you may know already, is called Wisdom is Wealth. Didn't want you to be confused, so dive into this episode. They were amazing episode, amazing guests, amazing insights, and enjoy.
When you're well, when you're in your leadership frequency, you naturally magnetize everything around you. You add your systems and your team, no matter the problem, you guys, you become unstoppable.
Hi, I'm Justin Buonamo, and this is Holistic Hustle. Holistic Hustle is doing things for the right reasons, working hard for the right reasons. The healthy balance of what work and progression and accomplishment and success should actually look like. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Holistic Hustle Podcast with Justin Buonamo. I have an incredible guest and friend here today, Jennifer Watson, who I'm very excited to share with y'all. We almost just shot a separate podcast episode before we even started this one with the conversation that we were having. And we have so many synchronicities and we're super aligned. And it's just a beautiful human being on the other end of this podcast today. But before I introduce her, I want to read her bio. And then, as always, give my bio of her from my thoughts. But for now, here's her bio, which is Jennifer Watson is a healer, high-performance coach, and breakthrough speaker on a mission to help leaders heal and accelerate their deeper purpose of impact through their vital wellness, leadership genius, and potent speaking. Ooh, that was already great. As a former Division I athlete and All-American, Jennifer, founder of Run Your Race Global and Watson Worldwide, overcame years of debilitating depression to become a physical therapist, an entrepreneur, a TEDx speaker, and now an international coach and speaker. Combining 20 plus years of experience in wellness, advocacy, and leadership development, Jennifer's ultimate goal in life is to be known for the healing she gave, the love and leadership she showed, and the hope she gave to all that they can truly live their highest potential life. And while I'm going to add to that, I agree with all of that too as well. And one of my favorite things about Jennifer is no matter what, she carries this healing energy. She's a friend of mine, but also has been a client of mine too as well. And we have talked through many different things: good, bad, exciting, not exciting, whatever labels you want to use. But one thing that has stayed consistent outside of Jennifer just being an incredible human being and every interaction I have with her is just this healing energy she carries. And that's what I'm excited to share with y'all today. So Jennifer, welcome to the show. And if you could touch on that healing energy and what that means to you and how you've cultivated that, because it's never not been there every time I've interacted with you.
Justin, thank you so much. It's really interesting. I'm a big believer when we give bios to people that they are truly us. And when you read it back to me, I actually started to cry because I have worked so hard in a beautiful ease to bring up that light. And I mean that in a really powerful way, because the reason why I bring the light that you feel, and I take that so personally, is because of so many dark moments I've been through, and the pain of navigating that to bring out the light. And part of my mission is allowing people to really see that I accept all of you, fully all of you, and your backstory, because that's truly probably why I'm connected with you now, why I feel your light, Justin. And, we hear a lot about that. It's still hard sometimes, to step into that darkness or share that part. But, there was a period, Justin, during my quote, first years of success in front of people, I looked like I had the light, but in the background, I was struggling. I was tanking. I was wanting to check out. And I went as far as to set a date, because that's how dark it got. So for you to step back in and say that I bring that light to you. And for me, that's one of my desires, to show people that they can live to their full potential no matter what they've been through. And that's probably the juju to do all the things they're doing now. It's an absolute honor to be here and serve in that way. So thank you so much for having me, Justin. I'm here to serve and pour light into all your amazing community.
It's so awesome. I think that's just so important for our audience to hear, because you're a very successful person, and I'm sure if people don't know you already, will will know you and look up to you for many reasons, just like I do. But to hear that, like, this light that we started off on complimenting came from darkness, came from moving through darkness, right? And one of my favorite quotes is that the darkness will have less and less control over you the more you talk about it in safe spaces. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I'm happy that you thought that this was a safe space to bring that up. And I think it's awesome for our audience to hear. And so you do many amazing, incredible things. And I know a lot already. And there's also things I want to elaborate a little bit more on. And so one of the phrases that you used in your bio was vital wellness. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of break that down for our audience and what that means to you and how you work on that with your clients?
Absolutely. So, wellness, first and foremost, is mind, body, soul. Okay. My body is also emotions. Like a lot of times we'll go mind, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, emotions are physical. So I group that there because the emotions actually drop chemicals in the body that create the symptoms, good or bad, that we have. So wellness incorporates mind, body, and soul parts of us. This is parts I tap into for everyone from a baseline. And I know I'm going to use your phrase, Justin, that will allow you to be good. But good can also be the devil to great, to where you want to shatter the glass ceiling in many areas of your life. Wellness is your anchor. This is your vehicle, everybody, mind, body, soul. So we want to at least have it good. But if you want to shatter the glass ceiling in anything in your life and live in flow and not hustle, you better learn how to be vital in your wellness. And what I mean by that is, how do you stay in good mind, body, soul integrity when shizzy hits the fan? I don't care what it is. It's what you're saying is a trigger, is something emotional, is something stressful, is something chaotic, personal, professional, internal, external. How do you maintain the course? How do you stay out of the weeds into your lane when something is thrown at you that's unexpected, big or small? I truly believe, Justin, truly believe, the number one superpower in this era we live in is knowing how to master your mind, body, soul's reaction and get back into your lane when life happens. And I truly believe that's going to help you accelerate in life, accelerate in your business. We lose so much productivity, performance, connection with others when we're in the weeds with our emotion, in the weeds with our physical life, in the weeds of our spiritual life and who we are. When we can get back on track and move in the direction that God aligned for each of us individually with our unique gifts, game over. You become truly unstoppable. So that's why for me, the first place I go with people is really tapping into the wellness, the good, and get to great with creating that vitality piece to shatter everything that you want in life and more.
So good. That is so good. I have a lot of notes. Hold on. All right. That is awesome. And so what I'm hearing from that, and something that I've been working on too as well, is just cultivating internal peace, right? And that means being well internally, right? So when things, not if, but when they do pop up externally, or what people would call external stimuli, things going on outside of us, right? Peace isn't the ability to control everything externally. Because if you try to control everything externally to limit and get rid of in an effort to ultimately find peace, you're going to play a game that no one ever wins, which is trying to control everything outside of our realm of control, right? But if we just control what we can and cultivate that internal peace when external stimuli pops up, right, we have that vital wellness to be able to maintain that internal peace and resilience and move forward. And I think that's so important, especially for all the entrepreneurs and business owners listening. Business is just a game of solving problems that create more problems.
Yes.
Right? And it's the expectation, right? It's the expectation. And what I'm hearing from you is this vital wellness is so important to navigate that expectation. I think another thing on top of that, though, is it's one thing to lead ourselves. It's another thing to lead other people. And you call it your leadership genius, right? Yeah. Now that we're kind of on pace with your most important topic, can you maybe talk to us about your second most important one with the leadership genius?
100%. So, I always say wellness and leadership, I could talk about all day, everyone. And I get a chance to do that as a speaker, which is so great. And this is why I light up, because when you're in alignment, first and foremost, Justin, you're going to naturally light up. It's not something unique to me. Everyone can tap into that if you know who you are, what your gifts are, and what you're excited about. Leadership is one of them. I've led most of my life. I've been team captain. I learned leadership from a very young age. But what I will say is this, everyone. I was not the leader I could have been back when I was 18. Not just because I was 18, because I believed being a leader was show no emotion, be perfect everything, lead the cause, don't let them see you sweat. All this stuff. And I know everybody's probably raising their hands here that's listening to this podcast. Any high performer, I've had to unwire and rewire what leadership truly means. So to me, and this is kind of going back to the good to great, that's the baseline of where I start with people. Like, where are some of their internal things that are their like non-negotiables in the past, but they know it doesn't serve them now? There was just this traditional way of leadership, and we really break that apart and set it into a space that opens them to a new possibility of leadership. But what I mean about next level leadership genius, to go from good to great, Justin, is really tapping in, refining what frequency you need to be at through a couple different areas. That includes how you communicate, what excites you, how you love to perform, and what you like to perform in. And I mean what you want to master. I don't mean what you are good at, everyone. Okay? I don't mean what you're good at. I'm going to tell you right now, some of the things that I've mastered and some of the people that are the most successful in things they've mastered sucked at the beginning. Okay. The people that do well in sports are not the ones that are naturally gifted often. Okay. This is research based, the ones that double down and want it bad enough. So that's a huge part of leadership. What do you want to master, everyone? What excites you? Okay. That raises your leadership frequency. Then you bring the people, places, and opportunities to you, to the people that are aligned with you to lead. Okay. I'm going to say that again. Your leadership genius is the relationships that you desire, the frequency you want to be at, the things you want to master, how you want to communicate. It is unique to you. When you do that, everyone, and you find out your leadership genius, you become highly intuitive and highly emotional intelligent of drawing in the people and places around you that brings out their leadership genius, because you've learned yours. It's just about the same thing. Like, how can you forgive others if you don't forgive yourself, right? How can you teach wellness if you haven't done wellness for yourself? It's always reflective of you being really aware of what gets you dialed in, everyone, to feel your frequency, your energy, your light, whatever you want to call it. It starts with these spokes on this wheel I'm talking about. And when you get that, systems are so important, everyone. But how many of you continue to do systems and nothing is working? And it feels like hustle. And it feels like the grind. I'm going to tell you, always go back to this point. Are you being in alignment with the true leader you want to be? It's just like anything else, you guys. If you don't like mastering that, delegate it away. We all know the sooner you delegate things, the more money you make anyway. That's a whole nother podcast. What I'm saying is, you guys, part of your leadership is understanding what you need to master, delegate the rest. Understand your communication style. Understand what lights you up. What's your frequency? You guys, we're layering this. And you can see as I'm talking about this, it gets me excited because I think about what I like to master, how I like to communicate. You guys, I naturally draw in my people. I naturally draw in places. I naturally draw in opportunities, and I get a chance to say hell yes or hell no. That is a true leader at their next level of leadership. I have other traits beyond that, but at your core, we need to break apart traditional leadership and make sure you're in a space that allows leadership to start transforming to another level. And once we do, game over. When you're well, when you're in your leadership frequency, you naturally magnetize everything around you. You add your systems in your team, no matter the problem, you guys, you become unstoppable, period. Every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Yeah, I love that, though. And one thing that you can feel with when you're talking about it is conviction in it, right? And why I love that is, well, what I'm also hearing too as well is traditional leadership is very cookie cutter and might be a little antiquated, right? Like what you said in the beginning when you first started talking about this was like, oh, suck it up, buttercup, don't show emotions to anybody, like, which is basically saying not be relatable, not be transparent, and not be vulnerable. In this day and age, that does not lead to a good leader, right? And I think leadership on top of that is about, leadership is influence, and influence is getting other people to believe in you. Yeah. Right, to follow you and follow your mission and your vision. But it's very hard to do any of those things I just talked about if you don't believe in yourself in the first place. Right. And so what I hear from you is these are ideas and strategies that you can customize your leadership to what is authentic to you. Because if it's not authentic to you, it's not you. And if it's not you, you're not convicted. And if you're not convicted, you don't believe in it. And if you don't believe in it, other people don't believe in it, and you can't be a leader.
Yes.
Right? And so
100%.
I heard an opportunity in what you just said for people to like customize how leadership will look to their most aligned self.
Yeah.
And I
And,
love that.
and it's really interesting. I love research. I'm a neuroscience geek, but we look at, and we're both athletes. We have an athletic background, Justin, but kind of going off leadership and the people that survive hard times and have a team that survive hard times. They actually did a research study on Navy SEALs, and is it BUDS, and who actually survives the camp and who goes on. And it's never the strong, physically fit, the ones that have all the muscle, and you think of the ones who are going to, it's you guys, it's usually the tiny guys. It's the tiny guys. And they started looking at correlations about these guys that were kind of tinier and didn't really look like they were really physically fit. You guys, some of these things I'm talking about, they have a strong sense of conviction, leadership, and they wanted to exude it to the team. And guess what? They wanted to make other leaders. And guess what? During the hard parts of the exams, they would reach out and help other people that were aligned with them. You guys, they were the ones that actually ended up surviving and passing the BUDS. Think about this, you guys, being a leader from aligned self and then being selfless of showing others how to do the same and helping them. These are the people that survive BUDS, everyone. And, we think about BUDS like hardcore, suck it up, which they have to do a little bit. But think about the ones that survive and actually pass it. They're the ones that actually get these concepts of refining their inner strength and their leadership, and then stepping out and asking for help and reaching out and helping others around them, community, building the team, building other leaders. These are the ones that survive, you guys. So research shows that. There's plenty of other examples like that, but I'm telling you that this is where leadership needs to go, especially post 2020. Band-Aid has been ripped off and people are starting to understand there's a better way of looking at life. There's a better way of looking at leadership and leading people. And there's definitely certainly a better way of looking at wellness. And when you tap into all those, like I said, you become unstoppable, you guys, and you feel that way no matter what's going on here. I've had people come up to me like, how do you still look good when you've been through this, and this? I just got done with the move and I had like 3 or 4 pretty big problems happen personally and professionally during the move. You guys, move is like the number one stressor or top 3, right? You guys, and I could still stay in my joy, not because things aren't hard, but I know how to stay in flow. I know how to get out of the weeds and get back into flow. I'm not perfect. I have my days and I need to understand that because I'm human. But when you understand the equation of what I'm talking about, where wellness and leadership collide, you create a performance that no matter what's going on out here, you are in. You understand that you can be here no matter what's going on the outside. And that, my friends, is true power. That is your armor and your shield, baby, for war.
Because it's so true, because life's never going to stop life. And it shouldn't be a license, not we're being insensitive to it, but it shouldn't be a license for you to not continue to keep moving towards your God purpose.
Right.
And so I love what you're saying here. And I think the best part of all this is that you're communicating it so well. Right. And it makes it very easy for people to understand. And then a couple of times I forgot that we were on a podcast and we were here taking my own notes. Like, wait, hold on, you're hosting. But I just think it's such a testament to the way that you can speak. And the last thing I want you to talk about with the group is this potent speaking, right? That you often talk about too as well, and that you're fantastic at, because I know a lot of our listeners and a lot of our clients, even myself, we want to speak on bigger platforms. Like even when we hopped on here, like about time you started the podcast, right? Because I didn't know how to get out there and potently speak. Right? And we know I have a ton of clients. I want to speak more. I want to do this. Right, so first off, do me a favor and give us your definition of the potent speaking, and then maybe some advice for people to step into it, or the biggest reason that holds people back from doing it. I think that would be so helpful for the audience.
Absolutely. I also believe this is a superpower besides the wellness and leadership, everyone, because business, personal life, every goal that you desire is relational. There's always other people involved. Obviously, right, you guys? So your ability to connect with someone for your goals is necessary. The number one way to connect with someone is communication, both verbal and nonverbal. I don't care if you want to be on stage or if you just want to navigate a tough conversation with an employee. It doesn't matter. And by the way, that's where I teach a lot in my program, because navigating tough conversations are hard, and how to articulate that. Getting on stage and knowing how to do that is hard. And I'm telling you, it's necessary. First and foremost, all of us are speakers. and learning how to refine it in your unique communication style and navigating the environment, I also believe is a superpower that's necessary, because everything in this world that we desire requires a relationship, which requires communication first and foremost. What is potent speaking in any environment? What I just said. Potent speaking is influencing any environment to your favor. Now, I want to be very clear, you guys. I don't mean manipulation. I don't mean I'm going to get people to do this. What I'm saying is, when you're going into a situation and you want to have a desired outcome and you're checking, is this an outcome that's good for everyone involved? That's very important. Is this an integrity and an alignment with my mission, my vision, my core values? So remember, this is not about manipulation. Potency is about being influential in any environment. I have gone into many different environments since 2020 that I will call it maybe a hostile environment, or definitely an environment where I knew what I might say may not be received well, Justin. Okay. And I came out of those with them wanting to be my friends. And I'm not kidding. Some of them still didn't agree with what I said. And it's all about learning to influence with your speaking, being potent, AKA influence with your speaking, no matter the environment, and learning, get this, everybody, shifting the environment to your favor, not living through it, not surviving a tough conversation, shifting it. And that requires influence, which requires potent articulation. No matter if you want the mic in front of a stage or if you're navigating a tough conversation with an employee, I'm telling you, that's game changing. I saw leaders self-implode, Justin, that had multi-million-dollar businesses. One or two reasons why: their mental health and their team's mental health was in the tank. No one was talking about it. And two, they didn't want to have tough conversations. They were avoiding. Okay, guess what happened? People started walking. Their companies self-imploded. This matters, everyone. Being a potent communicator, AKA speaker, is very vital to you, to getting the desires that you want, and also vital to flow and not hustle. You guys, so many of us get exhausted and overwhelmed in our business and think that it's because we're hustling. It's actually not because we're hustling. It's because we're avoiding. We're avoiding conversations. We're avoiding things we should be doing. We're avoiding. So when you can learn to be more of a potent speaker, you're going to have confidence in navigating communication in any environment, and game over. Then you create less overwhelming exhaustion, and you're back into your flow state and all the things you want, and the $1 million business and the great family life and whatever else you want, you guys. But communication is key, and that's what potent speaking truly is. As far as your final question, I love that question. Why are we afraid of speaking? Why don't we want to step on stage? You guys, there's a lot of entities to this. I actually teach speaking in my program. I've actually added that because a lot of my high levels entrepreneurs want to speak more on stage. So I've been adding that, not only how to create a powerful presentation, but how to get gigs and all that good stuff. But why are people usually not wanting to get on stage? I'm going to talk to all the high performers out there and that are leaders and entrepreneurs. Most high performers are recovering perfectionists or people pleasers, or maybe still perfectionists or people pleasers. And with that said, we're really not wanting to be rejected, really not wanting that. And by the way, you guys, that is part of our 6 human needs. You know, Tony Robbins talks about that. We desire community. So the last thing we want is to go on stage and be rejected. And again, if you're a perfectionist and a people pleaser, that's going to feed into that a little bit. So that's probably first and foremost the reason why I have a lot of frameworks that help rewire and break apart perfectionism and people pleasing. That is a trauma response, everyone. I'm going to say that again. Perfectionism and people pleasing is a trauma response. I was the master of it, and I'm a recovering one, and I have to check it every once in a while. But once we work through that, you can actually use some of your stories of perfectionism and people pleasing on stage, and then you can have it work for you. But I would say that's probably the top entry point where people don't want to get on stage, but they're dying inside to get on stage. So if you can just be honest where you're at and audit the people pleasing perfectionism, I do believe a lot of times coaching, mentorship, support is needed to kind of unwire that a little bit, because if you've been doing it all your life, it's hard to just say you're not going to do it and get on stage. But no matter what, just honoring that that's probably what's going on. And I'm not saying there's not other things. There's several other things that can be other layers, but that's a big one for a lot of my high performers that are recovering perfectionists and people pleasers, and they self-sabotage themselves all the time. And we need your message getting out to the world, everybody. Listen, anybody that watches the news knows there's a lot of junk going on. Guys, there's a lot of pain. Like, I get chills saying that. We need people like Justin, people that are doing things for good, getting out there at an accelerated rate. And that means you taking the freaking mic. We need you to get out there because there's a lot of evil out there. We need to trump that. And I believe we can with our voice. And I believe we need to. And actually, I think it's required of a lot of us as human beings and as leaders. You need to get out there. You need to speak up, speak your truth. And you have support from us to move through that powerfully and help you break free some old patterns of not thinking you're good enough and getting rejected and just step in it. I'm telling you, some of my best speeches, Justin, I screwed up the first part and I made fun of myself. And you know what? The crowd leaned in more because I looked freaking human to them. I wasn't like, okay. Like I just get on stage. I remember when, you know, I love to dance. I tripped one time, like, well, that doesn't look very good. I guess so much for my dancing, you know, antics. I mean, it's just this big joke, you know? So my point is, you guys, all of us start from somewhere. My first speaking gig, I look at it and I cringe as a joke. I'm like, wow, but this is how we learn. You guys just get on the mat, be willing to kind of screw up because people actually love that junk. Let's just be honest. When you go live and you're like your cat and your dog are barking and you're just like, oh, people love that stuff because that's real life. And being a speaker is connecting with people, period. And they connect to you, your real you. So, you know, chat with Justin, chat with me, but there's ways to navigate that. And if you want a mic in your hand, let's go because we need you out there.
That's so good though. I agree with so many things you said. I have so many notes I want to touch on, but one of them, I'll start at the back end of it. It's kind of like what I found with money. People who don't avoid money, they're avoiding the fears, anxieties, and traumas that come with that topic, right? So what I'm hearing from you is people aren't avoiding really the speaking itself. It's the triggers and the fears of maybe inadequacy or rejection that we're avoiding, right?
Yeah.
Or more so the traumas that have happened in the past that caused those fears that we haven't worked through yet. And so yeah. I love that. I think that's so true. It's not the speaking we're avoiding. It's the triggers and the fears that come up around the speaking. And so if you solve the triggers and the fears, then putting the microphone in your hand will get a lot easier.
Yeah. I mean, I actually challenge all the time the narrative that the top fear over death is public speaking. I challenge that. I'm like, that's not it at all. You guys, again, I know you understand this, the work you've done. There's so much more to it. It's this core trauma. It's this core belief that's stopping you. It has nothing to do with speaking. So I challenge a lot of narratives. I do stuff all the time. It just doesn't, it's not true. It just doesn't sit with me. I'm like, no, I can't be that because we talk, we're communicators. Like that doesn't even make sense to me. You know, we talk every day. So when I started digging, I'm like, this is why. So you guys, how enlightening is that? That's so cool. Like, it's not about you being a good or bad speaker. I wasn't a good speaker when I first started. I love it. I love mastering it. And if you want to master it, game on. My twin sister was a better athlete than me. You guys, I don't say that often. She was a national athlete. But she didn't want to master it. That wasn't her thing. And I double time on things and I got really good where I became a 2-time All-American. Okay. She was more gifted than me. What I'm saying is, who cares if that person on stage, I guarantee you John Maxwell or wherever you watch was not good at first. Look at their backstory. Okay. Their first, stages were not that good. My first stage was not that good. I'm just going to be honest, you guys. So just step into just the mess of it. And I know most of your entrepreneurs, there's mess. It's a spiritual journey with this up and down of entrepreneurship. But just have fun with it. Have fun screwing it up because no one is good at first, or at least that great at first. So go for it. I know it's probably something more. Success
is on the other side of the mess.
Yes.
It really is. You have to be bad at something to eventually be good. We ultimately get it right in life by first getting it wrong. And so I love that. And I love the narrative that you challenge too. Because I always challenge not a similar narrative, but more so like the number one reason for divorce in the United States, they label as money by like a landslide, even between two is infidelity. But I'm like, it's really not the money.
Yeah.
It's really not the money. And so I just wanted to throw that out there. I completely agree with the challenging of that narrative. And I think the last couple of things that I really held on to were hard conversations and being able to increase your influence by being able to communicate correctly, right? And so one of my favorite quotes is that your life, your business, and your finances, so I kind of added a couple of those in there, but mainly your life will expand into direct proportion to the hard conversations you're willing to have with yourself, other people, and God. I truthfully believe that.
Yeah.
And on the influence side of things, now with our company, scaling to just huge levels these days, back-to-back 7-figure years, got a team of 13 these days, hiring a president to kind of take over on the operations side of things. and really stepping into that CEO role, I've realized that my vision as the CEO is only as good as I can communicate it to my team and to my clients.
Yeah.
Right. And so the
wraps,
success I'm
and
looking
it
for,
always
yeah,
wraps around to your wellness, mind,
mm-hmm.
body, soul, the core wounds. It always does. Leadership wraps around to the wellness and the core wounds. Communication wraps around it all. I teach all the time, mastering the chemistry of your brain and body to be on board for your leadership, to be on board for hard conversations. It's so hard to do that if you haven't broke down the 6-year-old self, because that's what's showing up, by the way, everyone, in your money, in your relationships, in your business. If you're not dealing with that, your 6-year-old self that's fighting with your wife or your husband or your partner or whoever it is. So, and by the way, there's no shame in that. I've wrapped around that tree about 5 times. So just owning that is actually really empowering, and understanding that. And then you can get flow. It doesn't have to be forced. You're just being aware, then the right tools. There's flow with that. There's no force with this. You guys understand that life does not have to be forced ambition, but allowed recognition. I'm going to say that again. Life does not have to be forced ambition, but allowed recognition. Wow. Allowing yourself to recognize what your mind and body's communicating to solve, so you can show up in all these things that Justin just mentioned. Okay. It literally can become that easy. Life isn't easy, but inside the peace, the flow can become easy. So just understand that. Start shifting your paradigm of what you think life needs to be like in force, not forced ambition, allowed recognition. This is brilliant. God made a great freaking machine. Okay. But we got to be willing to work with it and listen to it. And once you do and stop persevering, when you really find out you're not persevering, you're actually tanking. Just be honest. I was that way. Now you get to go into this beautiful dance of like, oh, I got out of alignment, get back in and play with it and get curious. Life just gets to be a fun, beautiful dance, even with hard times, when you understand that. The flow of acknowledging and recognizing what your body and brain are trying to give you, my friend.
Life gets to be a beautiful dance despite, what was the last part of that?
Despite everything that comes at you. Life becomes a beautiful dance when you are willing to flow, when life becomes lifey, to be quite frank. You know, that's one of my favorite phrases. When life becomes lifey, life can still be flow. When life becomes lifey, life can still be flow. And life can be flow because you make a dance with all the things that come at you. That's the key, you guys. It's the equation. I mean, I know if you've ever heard of, like, what is it? This too shall pass. Justin, I'm sure you've heard the phrase. When do we use it? When things are hard, right? This too shall pass. Did you know the old Sufi tale is actually not just taking into account of saying that this too shall pass when good things happen, is actually taking account from the wise men that gave this phrase to the king, this too shall pass when good things happen too. They said, when you can say that and be in flow, the ebbs and flows, this too shall pass, the good, this too shall pass, the bad, when you can actually be here and in flow and let your body and brain to work for you. This is thousands of years ago, this tale, everyone. He gave it to the king. He was like, what's the key to life? He said, that, my friend, be in flow, do the dance. It's all good. And they'll all be fleeting. It's not just for this too shall pass when you feel crummy. This too shall pass when you feel good. And when you can understand that, it just becomes flow, becomes the dance. It allows you to be in the flow when life gets lifey, and understand it's all working for you, not against you. Your body is taking the information. Now allow it to be recognized by you and do the flow. Do the flow with the right tools and the frameworks. You can master that. And I've had to take a lot of coaching courses. I've had to be mentored to figure this stuff out. And it's not always easy. The complexity of it can be there when you've had a life where you've wired a lot of things. So reach out to people, everyone. I don't ever go without a coach. I'm going to be quite frank. And I coach, and I've done a lot of things, and I've experienced a lot of things. I have a lot of wisdom, but I don't know everything. And I can't see everything when I'm on the inside of the bottle. Either can you, period. And when you invest in yourself, we all hear this, magic happens. So do that for yourself. If these are areas that we're talking about that you struggle with, awareness is key, but then now you have to go into the darkness and pull that stuff out and do the dance with the flow.
I love that. Don't do the dance alone. My favorite quote, one of my favorite quotes, is the wild man looks for answers and solutions while the wise man just dances with what is, right? And to dance with what is, what she's talking about, take support and take somebody that has been there. And so I think we just probably hit on about 17 different topics we could dive into for our next episode. But in between now and then, especially if people don't want to do this dance alone, where can people find you and connect with you at, Jennifer? Because this was amazing. I'm sure you're going to have a decent amount of traffic after this.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you. I'm honored. But yes, Instagram is probably the number one place at the Jennifer Watson. And I answer my own DMs, no AI. Okay. I will answer my own DMs. And I'm also active on LinkedIn. And by the way, just a little side note for any of you that are interested in speaking, that's where the speakers and the events hang out, is on LinkedIn. So the Jennifer Watson, LinkedIn there, but I reach out and answer all my own DMs there. If you're curious to learn a little bit more about my programs, you can go to my website, Jennifer Watson Leadership. But otherwise, just, connect with me. I'd love to hear what you thought of this episode. Any questions you had, we're here to support you. I love to pour life into all of you because we all need our support, because life can get lifey. And I want you to have the flow and the lights that you can bring to others as well.
I love that. And no matter what capacity you're interested in, please just take her up on the opportunity to connect with her, because she will pour light into, as you saw here today. And I can attest that for myself. And so it's just been a pleasure having you today, Jennifer. I'm super grateful for you. I'm very excited for the audience to hear this message. And until round two, we love you and thank you for coming by.
Thank you.